All right, all right, all right, all right. Sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down. We're gonna do something now. Hello, no noise, no noise. The video is on. Please focus. Right? Focus, focus, focus. Hello, I'm talking. Focus. Right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, my dear student, my beloved student. Today is another good day the Lord has made. I would like us to start by giving gratitude to God Almighty for sparing our lives, the air we breathe in our lungs, for providing for us. So it's very, very important. Like I always said, anything you want to do, you start in presence of the Lord. Give Him gratitude for what you are expecting to receive, even if you haven't received it yet, because you trust the one that is going to provide. It's a great provider. So we commit the lesson into His hand, and we humbly ask Him to give us His wisdom for us to be able to understand what we are going to do today. Right. All right. So, guys, we are still on how to manage. We're still on this topic, managing time and work processes. Guys, focus. Hello, focus, please. Very important. Very, very important, right? Because this aspect I'm teaching you, it comes out every time in the exam, right? There is no final year question paper that you don't see this aspect. Even your internal exam is gonna come out. No, not this one. I'm reading from this book, right? Don't worry. I just show that one there so that the board will not be blank, right? So I'm using this. So as we were saying, remember how we started? If I can reflect on what we've done so far as this topic is concerned, we talk about planning, right? For those of you that were not here, right? We talk about planning, that it's always good for you to plan, to strategize in terms of what you intend to achieve in future and how you intend to achieve what you want to achieve. Right. Then we talk about the essential elements of planning, the characteristics of a good plan. We say it must be flexible, right? When you are making a plan, don't make a plan that is rigid. What we are talking about, your plan should be made in such a way that whenever you want to make changes, you can be able to make a change, right? That is what we are talking about. Make your plan to be flexible, right? Then we said your a good plan must be realistic, right? When you are planning, don't make a plan that is unrealistic. Like as the example I gave, you cannot formulate a plan as you are now. You are doing you know what you are doing now at your level. You cannot say by next year I want to be doing my master's degree, right? Of which you haven't even completed what you are doing now, let alone to get, yeah. So that is what we are talking about. Something must be wrong with this system here, but never mind. We shouldn't allow this one to disturb us, right? This is a distraction. It's a devilish stuff. We kick the devil this morning, right? The devil doesn't have a room here. Okay, guys. Then we talk about the steps that needs to be taken for you to be able to formulate a good plan. Then yesterday we talked about time management. You see, you missed out yesterday. Time management. We should be able to learn how to manage time, right? Because as we know, in business, time is money. Understands? Usually, time is money. Right. Time is a resource. Younger. Time is part of a resources. Right. By virtue of the fact that time is a resource, look at me. Don't look somewhere else. You need to look at me, focus on me, right? Time is a resource, it needs to be managed properly. Do you understand what I mean? Nobody like to waste resources. If you are a rational human being, whatever God has given to you, you must manage it well. God gave you time, right? You must learn how to manage it well. Sometimes we keep on asking God for provision. Listen, Jonga, listen to what I'm going to say now. It's going to help you in life. We keep on asking God, provide for me, bless me. But the one God have given to you, how well are you managing it? You forget about that. You need to manage it well, right? That's what we call procrastination. Procrastinate. Have you heard about that language before? Procrastinate. When you got the tendency of putting off things that you're supposed to do. I'm gonna do it later. No problem. You know, procrastination is not good. They say procrastination is a thief of time. You hear what I said? It's a thief that steal your time. So don't allow procrastination being a thief to steal your time. So whatever you want to do, you make sure that you do it now. Don't postpone it. Right? That is what we are learning here now. Now, so when you want to do see, that's what we call, you know what we call a task list, to-do list, right? You see, it becomes very important. For example, if you are somebody that can easily forget things, right? For you to schedule what you need to do, you need to have prepare a kind of a schedule, not to forget. For example, have you ever done like that before? You say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. In order for me to remember very well, let me write it down. Right? I'm going to West Coast College. So when I finish lecturing, then after that, I'm going to the church. After church, this is what I'm going to do today. Right? You got your schedule. Right. The task that this you want to do, take a paper, you write it down. You call it a task list. Have you ever done that before? Right? Have you ever done that before? Yeah, it's always good to do that. That is how a rational human being behave. Right? That is why you see most of these directors they got a PA. You know PA. What is the full meaning of PA? Personal assistant that takes down, right? Schedule, the schedule appointment for the director. So creating and using a task list, right? We said a task list is simply a list of things that have to be done. In the exam, they can ask you, what is a task list? It's a list of things that has to be done. Finish. You get the score, the full mark, right? That is how a task is. That is what it means. So we said the most important well-known task list is called, like I explained to you, to-do list. To-do list, right? In order to have any value, a task must be in some kind of order or hierarchy. What is that term of? What do we mean by being in hierarchy? You must learn how to prioritize. Prioritize. Right? You get what I'm saying, right? You got certain tasks that you need to do for a day, right? Make sure that the first one come first, right? You need to put your task in sequence. This don't worry about this, right? So you need to learn how to prioritize. You know, some people they make mess of their time, right? Because they don't know how to prioritize. You discover that what you're supposed to do first, then you schedule it to be the last. And once it comes to deadline, you will not be able to meet up with the deadline. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Are you sure? Right. So you need to learn how to prioritize, right? For example, you have, hello, You got series of assets to do now, right? Perhaps you'll be given deadline, right? Date on which you need to hand in. So when you are preparing your to-do list, you must make sure that the one that is most immediate in terms of the deadline, that is approaching deadline, that one must be first. Because you need to do that one first. You understand what I mean? Then followed by the second one. That is, what it means is you prioritize. You do things that are, first of all, urgent and important. Right? Okay. So we say we explain, okay. Steps to complete a familiar task. Right. Then when we approach a task, we have to know what to do first and what to do next. In other words, there must be a logic. That is that prioritization I'm talking about. It must be logical. There must be a logic. Then, logic to the way we complete the task. One step must be completed before the next steps, of course, right? It's like you are climbing a step. Hello, Jonga, look at me. When you are climbing a step, right? How do you climb a step? Do you say, do you jump? No, you don't jump. If you do like that, you risk yourself of getting injured. You can get injured, right? One step at a time. Do you understand what I mean? Right? It's the same thing we are talking here. Right. So one step must be completed before the next steps. Yeah. Here's an example of where you approach the task of brushing your teeth. There's a good example here where you are brushing your teeth. Right? How many of you did you brush your teeth this month? Twice. How did it go? Did you rush it? Right? Did you rush it? Okay. We said you must first of all rinse the toothbrush. Many of us doesn't rinse the toothbrush. When you were brushing your teeth this morning, did you rinse the toothbrush? Who did? Okay. Then we say you must unscrew cap from the toothpaste. You take the toothpaste, then you unscrew it, you make it open. Then you squeeze it, you brush your teeth, you rinse your mouth, and you rinse the toothbrush. You see how logical it is. Do you understand what I mean? Right. So when you are preparing your to-do list as well, for you to be able to manage your time, most especially when it comes to meeting deadline, you must prioritize. Right? So that is what we're talking about. Then when you finish, you start the toothbrush and put it where it's supposed to be. So that is what we need to learn today as far as creating a task list is concerned. Right? What needs to be done? And when you are creating your task list, it must be in order in which things must be done. Then we got a master task list, which is a broader uh, compilation of things that needs to be done. Then what I want you to know again is, yeah, we've already talked about prioritization, how to prioritize a task list. Okay, we got different types of tax list, right? We got the electronic one, right? You know the one in the computer. You can even use, for example, the diary. You know the diary, diary, diary. Yeah, yeah. You can use that. Then I've taught you how to prioritize task list. Let me see what I need to. Diary. Using and maintaining a diary. A diary as a planner, right? Diary. How many of you have seen a diary before? The college didn't give you a diary this year. You got one. So what do you use the diary for? You can use it to plan, right? What do you use it for? Did you put it at home? You lock it in your cupboard, or you put it under your pillow to sleep, right? It's for you to plan, right? How many of you have ever used that diary to plan? That is why you don't meet your deadline in submitting your task because you don't use it to plan, right? You take your diary, then you put the dates. Okay, I said for entrepreneurship is going to be handled in so date. Then you mark it. Then you make sure that you refer to it every time for you to be able to recollect what you've written down and be aware of the deadlines. So you must use it to plan. So we've got different types of diary. We've got daily diaries, right, where you record things that you need to do every day. Then you got desktop diary. Okay, desktop diary. You got it in the computer. Those days, you got it at home. But on your phone, yeah. Those days, there used to be a kind of a diary, desktop diary that is a hard copy. When you get into the office of a manager, big guys, then you see it on the table. So they use it to do their planning. Have you seen something like that? Okay. Then we got a year planner. Year planner, you use it to plan for what you're gonna do for the year. Year planner. We used to have a year planner here. Maybe you can see that in Mrs. Mama's class. So daily diary, you use that one to uh, plan for what you're gonna do on a daily basis. Then the one for yearly, it has is for the whole year, right? For example, before the start of the college, every year we use a year planner to plan the whole activities that we are going to do for the year. Even in the year planner, you got the date for test, right? Your assessment and everything. And the date that the tools must be submitted for your assessment. So we use the year planner to plan for that. Right. Then as you got electronic diary, right? You say you got it on cell phone, then you can have it on personal computers and then yeah. So those are the types of diaries that you can the big one on the table. Okay. Yeah. So it's very wise, it's rational, it's very useful and very important for one to be making use of that. Most especially if you are somebody that got a lot of tasks to do. Because if you don't note it down what you need to do, you can forget. Right? And many things will be left undone. So it's very, very important. Right. Then prioritizing tasks in the diary, you must know the one that is important and urgent. Hello, listen. Let's try to round up with this. When you are prioritizing, what do we mean by prioritizing? Doing things that are most urgent first, right? The ones that are urgent and important. You must know the ones that are important but not urgent, right? The ones that are important and not urgent, right? There are some that are urgent but not important, right? You see, there are some that are important and urgent. That one should be given top priority, right? Important and urgent, right? Okay, so there's another class coming, so we're gonna stop here, right? You know how to switch off the video. Can you help me switch it off, please? Hello, switch it off. Press that red.